Hey guys, what's going on? So, a couple of days ago I had said that I was going to make a prosciutto and peas dish with spinach ravioli. But instead, it took a little longer because, believe it or not, the pizza that I made the last time actually was eaten just only a day or so ago. So, believe it or not, I told you guys that that would last maybe 2 days. It actually lasted almost 4 days. So, whatever. It was very good. The prosciutto on the pesto pizza, if you all recall, with the fresh garlic, was very good. But today, we're finally going to go ahead and get the prosciutto with the shrimp and the fresh tomatoes and peas, and I'm going to do that with a spinach ravioli. Now, the spinach ravioli is not freshly made. If you remember on my last post, I was saying how much I really want to get to do that. It's not a hard technique, but it's something that takes a little time. And I have the machine for it, but I've had it for quite a while. I've actually had it for probably close to, I don't know, maybe 3 years, and I've yet to do anything with my pasta maker. But this year, it's going to happen. So anyways, what I'm doing here today is I'm actually going to do a regular spinach ravioli, frozen spinach ravioli. I got from one of my customers. I purchased it. And it's going to have some fresh prosciutto. It's going to have some spinach, not spinach, fresh prosciutto, shrimp, fresh tomatoes, and peas. And I'll go through the whole process as we go through it. But it's a fun little dish. And most of the stuff is going to be done on the stove top. So you'll need a nice sized pot with boiling water. And in that water, some people like to put salt. Other people like to put oil. I personally like to put a little bit of oil into my water. And that'll come to a boil for my raviolis. When you know that the raviolis are done, is when they start floating to the top. As for the sauce, what I'm going to be doing is doing a fresh tomato with prosciutto, shrimp, and peas. That's going to be done in a nice little pot, but I like to use a wok. Very important if you're familiar with woks, yes, the Chinese version, the wok. Whenever you want to use a wok, you want to make sure that you oil the pot itself. All right, so you want to have a nice little, just for the flavoring purposes, you don't want to use a pot dry. It doesn't work as well as you would want it to. You have it seasoned is basically what we're doing. So when using a wok, put a scoop of oil. It could be regular olive oil, it could be regular vegetable oil, it could be bacon fat. But if you base the bottom of the pan and then you bring it up to a nice little heat, in this case I'm going to bring it to a medium high for the prosciutto, and for the wok, that'll get a nice little sizzle going. As for the pot of water again has got oil in it. That I'm going to be bringing it to a medium high as well, and that'll be done with the raviolis. Total on all the dish shouldn't take no more than, I don't know, maybe 20-25 minutes at the most. But it's a quick deal. It's a pretty fun dish. Fresh tomatoes, all right. The fresh tomatoes are going to be basically for your sauce. You're also going to have some fresh garlic, and there's one item I did miss: the onion. In this case, again, if anybody that remembers, I like to use shallots as opposed to regular onion. Shallot has a nice little etiquette look to it. It has a nice little flavor to it. Shallot, you only need a little bit. You don't need the whole piece. Let's see. I got a couple comments over here. Crystal, my niece, looking forward to seeing you soon. Very excited to be seeing you finally. And yes, whenever you're ready to come down here for dinner, you let me know. We'll have dinner waiting for you. And thank you to Michael and Joey and Christina, of course. If there's anybody else, my sister Alma. So good to have you guys all watching the video. I know most of you will probably be watching football. Hate to say it, guys, but not in my house. Not after all the nonsense that's been going on with this year. And honestly, I haven't missed it. I've spent more time with my family. I've enjoyed hanging out with the kids. And it hasn't been my priority to sit down and watch a game. But in all fairness, I never really was a big football guy anyway. Janet, thank you for joining us. So what we're going to do now, I have my wok. Right now it's on a medium high. So what I'm going to do right now is get my red onion going, or my shallot. In this case, it's the shallot that we're going to use. Get that going. All right. Get that in the pan. right away. If you get that nice and hot, you'll get that sizzle right off the bat. Okay, the red onion goes right in with the garlic. Okay. Red onion and garlic. And as I mentioned to you before, in the wok itself, it has just a regular, oil off of the pan for the seasoning. It doesn't have any oil yet in the actual pot. So, believe it or not, it's almost like having a dry cook going on right now. But again, when you do it the right way with a wok, with the seasoning of the oil in the pan itself, gives you most of the oil that you need. You're still going to need to add the oil when the tomatoes come in because now you're dealing with a wet product going into it. But we'll get that going in a second. Okay. We got right now, pretty sure you guys can see that. Alright. Just a very, very simple. There's no oil, like I said. And what's going on here is just your onion and your garlic. Next thing we're going to do is get our tomatoes ready. Prosciutto, you don't want to add it right away because prosciutto is already cooked. And that's going to be one of your last ingredients that you're going to want to put in. So, in the meantime, you're going to want to put the shrimp in. So the next ingredient after this is going to be a tomato and then your shrimp. Your shrimp cooks quickly, alright, but it's still got about a good 8 to 10 minutes that a shrimp actually cooks in a pan. And keep that in mind because anything usually over 8 to 10 minutes, especially with seafood, if it's raw, you're going to want to have like a rubber taste to it. So be very mindful of when you're dealing with fresh seafood and you're cooking it in a pan. As you can see, I'm cutting tomatoes right now. What I'm also going to be doing in this sauce is peas. And I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of peas. But ideally, if you don't want them, cut them out. The dish really does call for a pea. And it does add a nice little flavor to it, especially when you add the cream to it later. The cheeses that'll go into it. It'll add a nice little taste to it. But if you don't want the peas, you don't like peas, you don't have to use the peas. Alright? Right now my water is starting to finally get a little warmth going to it. Still about a good 4 to 5 minutes before it brings it up to a boil. Once that goes to a boil, I'm going to add a little bit of oil now to this. Okay, perfect. Not sure if you guys can see the steam off of that or the smoke off of that, but that is pretty cool. Alright. You don't want the garlic to brown, or you want the garlic to brown but not black. Alright, it gives the fragrance that you're looking to do. What if you add spinach instead of peas? You can get away with that, Chris. That's actually a very good question. So you can do a pea in with the sauce. So if not the peas, you can get away with spinach. Not something that I've ever done before, but it's definitely a cookable product. So you can definitely get away with that. Good question. Thanks. Nick, wow, holy crap, what's going on, stranger? Hope all is well. Congratulations on the family growing over there, bud. Really happy to see you. All right, so we got the tomatoes going. Right on in, okay? Usually about 1 pint or equivalent to about 8 ounces. Okay? Seasonings that you'll need with this dish: basic salt, pepper. If you don't have fresh garlic, you can get away with granulated garlic, but fresh garlic is ideal. So you need parsley. Dried parsley is fine. You back that up. I look like I'm about ready to attack you guys over here. Okay. Anyway, so salt, pepper, and parsley is all you need. If you have dried parsley, that's just as fine. Okay. I'm just opening up my cans. Very important when you're dealing with canned vegetables too. Keep in mind, as much as it's in the brine and whatnot, you don't want to use the brine. That goes with beans. It goes with any vegetable. When you're using canned vegetables, strain them out to take out all the sodium level contents that are in there. As much as the flavor that you think is in a can of vegetables, it's mostly all salt and other items that are in there. So you definitely don't want to have it in there. Okay. That's just getting that ready. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm bringing the flavor to it. See, my daughter is becoming a very huge, what do we call it, Guy Fieri guy. So she's my #1 supporter, which I love it. Okay, so I got the tomatoes going. All right, now I'm going to add the shrimp. Now, ideally, I'd rather use fresh shrimp or defrosted shrimp. Purpose being because I want to take the tails off. But in this dish, it doesn't really have a major problem to, or a major setback to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in frozen, and I'm adding the tails to it. And that'll also allow the shrimp actually to flavor to come from the actual tail to go right into the dish too. At this point now, I'm going to add about 2 pinches of salt. 1 and 2. 2 pinches of salt for kosher salt. Black pepper. Black pepper is roughly about 2 tablespoons as well. Parsley will be later. Garlic is done. The last thing you got for this is the prosciutto, the heavy cream. I also have fresh cheese, which I'm going to grate right into it, and that'll get going. So this, what I'm going to do is I want to cover this. So bear with me 1 second. So always trying to find the right pot. And how do you like that? Am I lucky? Wrong size. Here we go. The reason why you want to cover it is you want to get the juice out of the tomatoes to make it an actual sauce. If you leave it open, all it is just going to dry air cook, and it doesn't give you the juice out of the tomatoes that you're looking for. So closing it will allow it to then let the tomatoes evaporate a little bit. Now take your knife, and you guys should see the prosciutto. Okay, prosciutto is roughly about 4 ounces of prosciutto that you need, and it's going to be kind of chopped pretty thin. As far as cut, you want to definitely cut thin. This is already cooked meat, so you don't want to put this in right away. You put this in right away, it's like it'll totally destroy the meat. You know, prosciutto is your Italian bacon. It's quite delicious. Wow, Brian, great to see you. Great friend from my Cisco days. Always a pleasure, Brian. So the bacon, or the prosciutto, what you're going to want to do is you're going to add that more towards the end of the dish, and that'll be more for just a little browning, and also the fragrance that you want to get off of the bacon or the prosciutto in this case. Right. Going to add the peas. Okay. Cover it back up. Water is going. Done with the garlic. Now, a couple of days ago when I made the pizzas, I was talking about Gouda. And this is the same Gouda that I had the other day, and it's got a nice little flavor to it. And thank you, Brian, I appreciate it. What you're going to do with this is I'm also going to shave this, but at the same time, once I'm done with this, I'm also going to put it into the dish. Now, the dish calls for a cream sauce, and the cream sauce is almost like a fettuccine style kind of a sauce, but it's got tomatoes in it. So you're going to notice at the end of it, it's going to have a nice little red cream style look to it. Everything's going to be nice and fresh, and then the cheese, once you add the cheese into it, it's going to basically melt right into the dish. So it's almost going to be not a heavy sauce, but it's going to have a nice little cheese sauce to it, flavor to it. It's going to be a pretty dish. So let's start cutting this up while that's all going. I'm just going to grate the cheese. I got a visitor again. Say hello, Joe.
Hi.
There he is.
Hello.
You play with your iPad, right?
Show.
Yep. Go ahead, go inside and relax, buddy.
Okay.
Thank you. I love you. Love you. Love you. Hey. Love you. Love you. Love you. Oh, sorry. I forgot I was doing a video here. Anyways. Alright, so we're doing roughly probably about a cup and a half of grated cheese or grated Gouda. Alright. Freshly grated. Again, I'm just getting everything ready right now because everything is going to go right all in one shot. Okay. This is coming together nicely. Got the nice temperature on it. And raviolis. Got that ready to go. This by here is actually, believe it or not, the ricotta that I had from the other day. This will actually be going into the dish too. One, I believe in getting rid of as much as I can in the house. But two, it'll kind of complement the cream sauce that I'm looking to do with the dish. So, it'll actually come together nicely. Take that, put that right there. Now it'll be added. So now the key trick to this dish, when you're making ravioli or when you make a pasta, a lot of people take a tendency of draining out the pasta and not saving the water. The water's got all the starches in it. So believe it or not, when you're making a pot of sauce, when you're making anything to complement the pasta, it's always a good idea to try to use a ladle or two of the actual starch water. Try not to drain it all out because all the flavor is actually in that pasta. So believe it or not, when the ravioli is just about done, 2 ladles of this of that broth is actually going to go into this dish, and it'll actually help add it'll add a little extra liquid to the dish, and 2, it'll actually complement a lot of the cheese sauces, so a lot of it can kind of combine. So you don't want to discard the water; very important. And I hope that this video doesn't take too long. So I'm hoping that everything works out and I don't bore you guys. All right, as you can see, coming along nicely. If everybody can see that. All right, good. As you can see, well, you probably can't see, but there is a little broth in here. All right, that little bit of broth is what's going to help with the dish. So what we're going to do is the water's starting to get ready to go. Let's take that prosciutto, pour it right in like this. Bring that up. Cream will be the last thing that we want to do. Roughly about 8 ounces of liquid that you want to do for the cream. So it's roughly about 8 ounces. All right. Let this cook down. And what we mean by cooking down is right now it looks like just a big liquid. It's just water basically, or cream. And we want to let the cream actually get into the actual dish. So you got the shrimp in here, you got the prosciutto, the tomatoes, you got the onion, you got the fresh tomatoes, if I didn't say it. But right now the cream, all it does right now is it's basically sitting in the puddle. So what you want to do is you want to get it to cook. So roughly about 2 to 3 minutes, just let this thing go. And I'm going to raise the temperature up, not medium high, not medium low, medium, but more like a medium high. So if you have one of those kind of stoves or the dials. So you're looking at it like a medium high, kind of get this to a boil. Once it starts going a little bit, that's when we're going to start adding our cheeses to kind of bring everything together and emulsify it all together. The ravioli is starting to come together a little nicely. The water, we don't want to cover it at this point. Now we want to let the steam come out of the actual dish cooking process. Sorry if I'm boring you, Janet. Hello, stranger. Look good to see you. All right. Let's leave that alone. Let that do its deal. And we got this. We got this. We got 1, 2, 3 more items to put in the dish, which is the ricotta, the grated cheese, and the parsley, and then the ravioli, which we want to get going. And then I got to get the kids' dinner going. So I'm hoping that they'll eat the raviolis. Realistically, I'm making them chicken nuggets. They don't know I'm making chicken nuggets, but I got to introduce them as we go. So there's still only 4, and it takes a little time. So right now, you should start seeing the sauce is starting to boil. And that's what we want it to do. We want to get it to where it starts kind of getting together a little bit. And in about 1 more minute, we're going to start adding our cheeses to the dish. And then we're probably about 2 more minutes done with this dish. Cover it, leave it as it is. Get that ravioli going, and then we'll do the final plating points of it. But like I said, realistically, the dish shouldn't take no more than maybe 15-20 minutes at the most. I mean, it's not a hard dish. It's a very simple dish. Some people might look at it right now as almost like a kitchen sink. It's actually got a nice flavor to it. You should get a nice little boil going over there. Perfect. You see the steam coming up. The raviolis that we got, small ravioli, and break them up. Now these ravioli have spinach inside of them, like I mentioned, they're spinach raviolis. And most of these are already pre-cooked already, believe it or not. Whenever you're buying a lot of these, they're a pretty quick cook. So when you do buy them, they're going to sink right to the bottom very quickly, but in roughly a minute or 2, they'll come right to the top. And when they come right to the top, they're done. So That's how you make a perfect ravioli. If you let it sit too much, then you start overcooking the whole process, and it's kind of nasty at that point. Get my special spatula for the ravioli, and we're going to do roughly about, you know what, they're small. We're going to do all of them. I was going to do maybe 25 ravioli, but I'm going to do 50. It's a lot, but believe it or not, again, they're small. They're roughly about the size of a quarter. They may look big, but they're only about the size of a quarter. And again, with my house, no matter what I feed in this house, or what I make in this house, it sits for a couple of days. So the girls got work tomorrow. They got school this week, so they could actually eat this while we're waiting. All right, now, we got it where it needs to be. Okay, it's already thickening up nicely just from the cream part. Now what I'm going to do is once I add the 2 cheeses, I'm going to drop this into a medium low, because I don't want to overcook it. So let's get that cheese in here, the ricotta, clump it. Can you guys see okay? You guys should be able to see all right. Plunk the ricotta in. Now ricotta, by the way, has got a mix of, thank you, Brian, take care, good seeing you. The dish, the ricotta, has got a blend of the Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, salt, pepper, and parsley in the dish, in the actual mix. So now let's drop it down to a medium low, mix it in, and you're going to see how quickly this gets nice and creamy in a minute. Okay. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I'll show you real quick on how this looks. Alright. Should be able to see it. But now what'll happen, should start seeing a nice little thickness out of it. This will stick right to the ravioli for a perfect combination of your dish. It's not going to be a heavy dish, but anything with cheese is. Oh, the missus joined. Hello, Suzanne. So this is done, the sauce. Now it's just getting the ravioli ready, which is starting to get to a boil. Ravioli will take roughly about 2 minutes on a quick boil. So what I'm going to do now is get a bowl. I'll show some plating purposes, and we'll be just about done. Parsley more or less is more for color. Parsley is kind of one of those ingredients that really you wonder what the heck you do with it, and for the most part it's usually used for plating purposes, for decoration, for color. Parsley is just one of those things, but it has a nice little flavor to it when you're using a fresh parsley. So this is going to go right into the dish for color purposes. That's done. The ravioli water is just about ready. Hey Melissa, what's going on? Good to see you. Bring them on camera. I know what that means. I never saw that before. Oh, how do you like that? You guys can show off your friends. That's cool. Never knew that. Hold on one second. Let me have a little fun with this. Huh. I'm learning something as I'm doing this. Good stuff. Hey, Nick. Wow, Nick is on too. I didn't even see you, Nick. How are you, bud? My nephew Joey and Danny are both on. That's great. Guys, thank you very much. My Aunt Jackie just joined us. All right. Disregard the whole. If you remember the last video, I don't want to hear any questions. My wife did it. Suzanne did it. Okay. Raviolis. All right. Now remember, so we don't have a thick sauce, we're going to take about 2 ladles of that pasta water, and we're going to put it into there just to kind of loosen it up a little bit. Hi, Jackie. It'll just loosen up the sauce a little bit, but that sauce is done and ready to go. And really, it's 2 ladles of that water, of that ravioli water. that you're going to want to put into this dish. Let me just get another spoon. These are my raviolis. Now again, as you guys can see, you should be able to see this right now. Everything on the ravioli is below the water right now. And it's below the water because it's not cooked yet. Once it starts getting to a rapid boil again, that's when the pasta will start getting ready. And once it brings it up to the surface, like with any pasta, once you start bringing that up to the surface, that's when the ravioli is done. Sorry to bore you guys, but we're pretty close to the end of this. So once that ravioli starts going, we're done. The sauce is done. The cheese is going to be basically, if you notice, I took about 1.5 cups of this that I grated. I left about 1/2 cup, and this is going to go right on the top for sprinkling purposes. And up to you guys. Like I asked you the last time, do you want to stay on and watch the plating and the final dishing, or would you like me to stop the video and show you a plating of it after I'm done? It's up to you. It's going to be roughly another 5 more minutes, so you could answer away. Stay on and watch the video, or stop the video and I'll show you the plating. Up to you. I'll wait for your answers. And I got a ton of cleaning to do too. It's always nice about this dish also is, if you have a nice little loaf of Italian bread. Yeah, believe me, I can only have maybe a little piece, but the loaf of Italian bread, if you make it into a nice garlic bread, get away with that too. You could even just use it just as a regular bread, toast it up, dip it into this whole thing, whatever you want to do with bread. But it's always a nice little compliment to any Italian dish. And we'll just put some of the stuff back. I'll be back in about a minute, or less than a minute. Showing my sides. Hi. All right. Dwindling down. That's very true. I did have. Hey, Jackie's gonna wait. I love it. Janet's staying on. Thank you guys for the support. Ravioli is starting to get a little bit more action going on here. The water is coming together. Starting to get a little bit more of a buzz going. So it should start boiling in probably about 30 seconds. My wife went to go see my mother-in-law today. She's been in the hospital for the last week. She had knee surgery. So first things first, Sue, if you're with Mom, tell her I said hello. If not, my mother-in-law's watching. Hello, I hope you're feeling better. But it's just me and Christina here at the house tonight with the triplets. So they're inside playing with their iPads. My daughter was watching the video. I'm pretty sure she probably logged off by now. She probably got bored. And I'm going to be getting everybody's dinner ready in a minute. So there'll be a nice little rush coming into the kitchen. The kids, like I said, chicken nuggets just to play it safe. Because I'm going to give them raviolis, but, what kid really does eat a lot of raviolis? Mine are pretty good, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what I have to go through sometimes. All right. Now, the ravioli is starting to boil, like I said, about 30 seconds ago I said it. And as you can see, it's starting to float to the top. So technically, these are just about ready. So let me just do one more thing. We take a couple of ladles of this pasta sauce. 1, 2, and because of the amount of sauce that I have, I'm going to go 3. But roughly about 2 to 3 ladles of this pasta sauce. And what you'll see is that water will actually help to loosen up the sauce a little bit. So what was once thick, just to kind of give a little bit of a flavor to it and to revitalize the actual dish, is why we're doing this. All right, so that's that. That's ready to go. Keep that same ladle. I'm now going to take my dish Okay, I got the dish. Let me take this ravioli off. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Now the raviolis are done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of these. Show you a plating of it. A 3, a 6. Okay. Let's see here. Right about there. You guys should be able to see the dish right there. Okay, so you got 6 raviolis on the dish. I'm going to take that parsley back out because I always do enjoy plating with a little bit of fun and pizzazz to it. So take a little bit of the sauce. Got a shrimp in there. Got your fresh tomatoes. Towel. All right. Fresh cheese right on the top. And a little bit of fresh parsley. All right, guys. There you go. Hopefully you guys can get a good look at that. Our fresh prosciutto, peas, fresh tomato in a cream sauce with fresh spinach ravioli. Thank you all so much for watching and for the support. And as they all say, bon appetit, I guess. You know what? Have a great Sunday. Love to the family. Thank you for the support. Catch you all later. Thank you again. Take a nice little picture of that in a few minutes.